Quietly, I am making my return. What is up, boys and girls? It's your pal right here, the one and only Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael Lee Sanders. You're checking out an all new Impact Showdown covering TNA Impact Wrestling Fallout for Wednesday, September. Oh, no, I said September. It's October. Forgive me, folks. Wednesday, October 15th, 2014. Obviously, I am still not completely out of the weather. I've been on a little bit of a hiatus this week as I've been battling a nasty chest cold. I'm almost out of the woods, so much so I was checking out Impact Wrestling tonight. Like a lot of the things that I saw with tonight's broadcast, it just filled me up. It gave me some passion. It gave me some energy to want to do this show for you guys. I haven't even done any promoting for this on social media whatsoever. So, I mean, unless you're subscribed to us on YouTube, or you're going to be checking this out on the downloads via iHeartRadio or Spreaker, it's pretty much the only way you're going to know we actually have put out a new show for you guys this week, as this is the first show that we're doing for you all since I've been on a little bit of a sabbatical, if you will. But I do thank those of you that's checking this out, whether you're watching the live webcast on YouTube or you're going to be checking it out on the downloads. Let's jump right into the talk of TNA wrestling. Now, look, before I even get asked, because I know it's going to pop up probably, if not throughout the course of this episode, probably afterwards, I'm probably going to get the questions about what did I think of TNA Battle for Glory. I've seen it. I'm not going to talk about it on this episode. However, I will be talking about it at a future date. If that may come on our weekend edition of the RCWR show, I don't know. For all the very latest, stay hooked to us, attached to us, connected to us. You know what I'm trying to say. On Twitter at the RCWR show, Facebook at Infinity One Productions. As always, we welcome those of you that's checking us out. If you want to interact, you can comment a number of ways. You can post your comments down below. Hit us up on Twitter. I'm not going to get to you guys' interactions tonight because I want to keep this short and sweet. After all, I'm a little bit out of the woods, but I want to keep the show as short as possible. That way, if I start to get a little worse, because my voice has been coming and going throughout the week, at least that way, if the show's really short, then we can just be done. But I'll respond to you guys individually after we go off the air, all right? So tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling, I got to say, overall, I enjoyed this episode more so than the Bound for Glory pay-per-view. I said I wasn't going to talk about Bound for Glory, and I'm going to stay true to it, but I must admit I enjoyed this episode more than the Bound for Glory pay-per-view. That should say a lot to you guys. Take that how you want it. Some of you may disagree. It's okay. Like how the show kicked off with the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle, as he had laid down the law to the TNA World Heavyweight Champion Bobby Lashley, letting him know, hey, I gave your guys Kenny King, MVP, the night off because we have this special tournament that's going about where we need to crown a new number one contender to face you for that championship. Kurt Angle laying down his authority on Lashley, reminding him that, hey, when it's all said and done, Kurt Angle is the seniority in TNA wrestling. He's the one that decides when and where Lashley will be defending that championship. And he asked Lashley a very simple question, which was, okay, when Bobby Roode had challenged you for a shot at the TNA championship again, why did you not accept? Well, what's going on here? Lashley didn't have an answer, but in either case, Kurt Angle informed him, hey, by you having that championship belt around your shoulders, you're a target. You defend that title as much as I want you to defend it. We're going to have a number one contenders tournament to figure out who's going to face you for that championship belt. And look at the lineup, guys, of the guys that we had saw for this main event tonight. We had saw Eric Young, Jeff Hardy, Austin Aries, Bobby Roode. So if you're keeping track so far, you say to yourself, well, by gosh, Lee, that's like all the former TNA World Heavyweight Champions. Not to mention it's all the guys that had lost to Lashley over the past several months. And I dare say to you, you are correct, sir. One thing I noticed about this as it kind of came off as if it was a TNA World Champion invitation or whatnot. Where was Magnus? Why wasn't Magnus involved in this? Some of you that saw tonight's episode, you may be wondering the same thing. I'll actually touch on that a little bit as we did kind of see what was going on with Magnus. He was addressed, but I still think they could have done a little bit more with regards to him and his character. Again, we'll talk about that in just a little bit, but that was your main event match for tonight. Let's go ahead. Let's jump right to that main event match. I don't mind talking about it right now because there was a lot more cool stuff to talk about on this episode. Main event match. It started pretty much. I want to say probably maybe like last 30 minutes of the broadcast, and it was actually a very good uh, main event match. It was an elimination style match. Basically, just kept going. The object was to either score a pinfall or make your opponent submit. Afterwards, they'd get eliminated, and it just kept going down like that until there was only one person left in the ring. And I loved how it ended up being between Austin Aries and Bobby Roode. And you just know about the history that those two guys have, going back when they were a tag team to a little bit before that when they were feuding over the TNA championship. I thought it was pretty badass that in the very end it came down to both of those two guys. And I mean, all the men that was in this match, they actually had put a very damn good valiant effort. I loved it. It was a great way to close out the show. Whoever your favorite was in this particular match, it had a little bit of something for everybody. So if you didn't like one guy, there was somebody in there that you had to like, unless you're just one of those Oscar the Grouch type of characters that just didn't like any of those guys that was in there. Then it's kind of like, yeah, well, more power to you. Number one contender at this time is none other than Bobby Roode. So it looks like Bobby Roode is going to be getting another shot at the TNA champion Lashley. Far as I know, maybe it might have been covered in the last 40 seconds of tonight's broadcast. I wouldn't know for sure as I was prepping for tonight's show, but I believe that's going to be happening on a future episode of Impact Wrestling. Could it possibly be one of their free themed pay-per-view events catered for Spike TV? We'll know in just a little bit. But once again, Bobby Roode is your winner. He goes on to face the TNA champion Lashley one more time for the TNA championship. We saw some really great highlights of the TNA Hall of Fame ceremony for Team 3D. For those of you that were not able to catch that, had some nice good words spoken by Tommy Dreamer, followed up by Devon, Bully Ray. And, I kind of questioned the way the dress code was for this TNA Hall of Fame ceremony. I mean, we saw Velvet Sky wearing a BB tight little shirt or whatever. Uh, didn't really see that much enthusiasm in the crowd. I didn't really see any smiling faces. And, this was something that was playing in the back of my head when I originally had watched the highlights of the induction ceremony during Bound for Glory. But then when I was watching it again, it really just kind of sank in. Wait a minute, this is supposed to be a joyful occasion. This is supposed to be a moment where we kick back and we relish in the accomplishments that this person or these group of people have done over the years. We basically cherish and appreciate their good hard work that they've done for a particular genre, in this case for the sport of professional wrestling. And yet it just seemed like so many of the faces that were shown there, they just looked like they either didn't want to be there or they act like they were at a funeral or something. They act like it was cringing to be at that Hall of Fame ceremony there. I don't know. I kind of liked how they did the Kurt Angle and the Sting ones better. Those seem to have more energy or whatnot. Of course, if y'all have been keeping track of your TNA Wrestling news, you know that Team 3D had struck a deal with TNA Wrestling as far as an extension to take them to Bound for Glory, get inducted, and all that. Whether or not something's going to be happening past that remains to be seen. We did see Devon tonight. He did make an appearance, although the $1 million question was where the hell is Bully Ray? Devon was seen in a backstage segment talking to Kurt Angle, letting him know that even though him and his brother have been inducted, that they're always going to have something to do with TNA wrestling, whatever Kurt needs them. Hand with anything, if they can help in any type of a way, just let them know, and they would be more than happy to assist. Well, we would see Devon practice what he's preaching. More on that in just a little bit. We actually saw our first matchup of the night to kick off Impact Wrestling, as it was Madison Rayne taking on the beautiful and the voluptuous BBW known as Havoc. And nice, slow type of a match. I really found myself trying to really get into Havoc in this one because I'm a big Havoc fan, and I've let it be no secret what promotions I followed her work in. I really tried to get into this match, and I love the story that was being told as far as Madison Rayne. Here she is. She's just this nice little small, relentless. Best analogy I can give is a honey badger. If you guys don't know anything about honey badgers, look it up online. But I mean, it's basically this animal that's like a combination of a skunk meets a ferret, um, meets maybe a cat. I mean, they're very high in intellect, and these honey badgers, they're so small. I mean, they're like maybe 2 times the size of a ferret, and they will freaking chase a rhinoceros. They will freaking chase a lion. They don't care. I mean, they're ferocious like that. And I kind of looked at Madison Rayne in this match tonight the same way. I looked at her like a like one of those type of creatures. Just the way she was just relentless in attacking Havoc. But it just seemed like every single time she was putting together a good string of offense, Havoc was just wham. I mean, just out of nowhere, just countering it. Havoc didn't really do that much of a good job of selling, by the way. I don't know if that's because of the height, weight factor. Like, I know there was actually several spots in this match that were botched. One that really stands out in my mind the most was at one point we see Havoc outside the ring and she's arguing with the referee. I think in this case it was Earl Hebner, and we see Madison Rayne. She's trying to regain her composure. She bounces off the ropes, comes charging, does like a nice slide kick to the lower third ropes, and this kick had went into Havoc, and like she's supposed to sell the hell out of that move, like she's supposed to go falling or whatever. But we really didn't see that. Like we see Madison, she does the kick, and like 5 seconds later, it clicks in Havoc's head. Oh, I'm supposed to sell that, and then she just kind of does a little wobbly move or whatever. It was just a lot of botched moves that was in that match. I noticed. When I say a lot, there was probably at least maybe I'm tempted to say six, but I'll go on the safe side and say at least five. But that's just way too many for me. Decent match. Really wanted to get into it, but very hard to get into. Havoc, in either case, picking up the victory. And I know there are some of you young men out there that are just discovering women that are constantly asking me, Lee, how about Havoc's boobies? Yes, she does indeed have a nice pair. All right, I'll admit that live on the air for you guys. Welcome those of you that's checking us out right now. Your host right here, Black Avenger Lee Sanders. We are talking fallout from tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling, as we're about to hit a milestone with Impact Showdown in about 2 weeks, as we're about to hit our 125th episode. That is awesome. 125. I can't believe we've done this many shows for you guys. We're doing good so far. Not that much show left. We'll finish it out and then we'll go on ahead. We'll talk briefly about some TNA wrestling news. Slow week it's been so far, but there is definitely one headline I want to bring to you guys' attention. Originally, I said we weren't going to get to you guys' comments, but the way I'm blazing through this right now, I think we're probably going to be done by maybe the 30-minute mark. So I'll actually see what you guys have to say on social media before we close out. All right. We can definitely do that for you guys. All right. So if you've paid attention to the title of our episode, you know that a certain person from a certain organization had made their debut tonight. For those of you that just got a notification that we were live online right now and you didn't read the title of this episode, you guys are good. Ethan Carter III, he had revealed his new bodyguard tonight. Great segment that it was. It was none other than former WWE superstar, and I just got to also throw in there former RCWR show guest, the one and only Brodus Clay. Yes, Brodus Clay, who infamously had addressed me on a recent U shoot under kayfabe commentaries. I still get private messages to this day for people that go, "Oh man, Brodus Clay, he killed you, man." And I'm saying to myself, genius number one. Me and Brodus, we actually chat a lot from time to time, and we both felt that what kayfabe did was pretty messed up. Because, in a nutshell, not to bore you guys, but it is Brodus Clay related. And just to hit some of you guys on what's going on, Brodus Clay had did a it was kind of like a 90-minute Q&A shoot with kayfabe commentaries for their You Shoot series. It's basically where the fans submit their questions and Brodus will answer them and all that. Well, there's this really nice little trailer that kayfabe had hooked up. And normally, the way kayfabe does their trailers, they try to do this nice little jazz splicing and all that, try to entice you and make you go, "Damn, man, this guy comes off like I gotta," and then you go, "I gotta check this out," you know. So in the case of Brodus Clay, the way they had hooked the trailer up, it made him kind of come off like, love your Brodus. I probably would imagine he would probably agree with me to a certain extent, but it made him kind of come off like a jerk. All right, and you actually see me make a cameo. There's a question that I'm asking, and I can't remember the comments that he made now, but I remember when I first had saw it and I heard it, I wanted to jump to conclusions as well, but then I was like, you know what? Unless I have the actual DVD, it's a bit premature for me to just go off what I'm seeing of the trailer. So I ended up, because I was going to get the DVD anyway, I checked out the DVD, saw the context and all that, and I didn't think nothing of it. I just thought he was making a light joke, but at the same time, I also took it as constructive criticism. So me and Brodus, we actually had talked about it privately, and and he was like, "I don't know why they did the trailers like that." He definitely thought it was kind of messed up the way that they did it, as his whole thing was it was just supposed to be a joke. It's just supposed to be about fun. So we squashed it. So unless you guys have checked out the DVD, don't always be fooled by some of the things that you see with those trailers. I mean, especially when it comes to your movies. I mean, let's be for real. How many times have you like been sold on a movie because of a trailer, and then when you go to see it, you say, "Damn, this movie actually is not what I was hoping for it to be." Enough said. Brodus Clay looking pretty good, slimmed down a little bit. By the way, he's no longer going by Brodus Clay. As a matter of fact, Taz and Mike Tenay, uh, they were instructed apparently by the Carters that they were not allowed to say his name, which I think is like a costly mistake because as soon as Brodus Clay comes out, you like go see the fan reactions and nobody really has a reaction for this guy. It's just kind of like, huh, all right, well, who's that? Are we supposed to know who this is? Are we supposed to care? Who is this exactly? That was the body language. That was the tone that I was picking up from a lot of people's faces. And if there was ever a time to do some boosting, it really should have been uh, with Brodus Clay. I'm just thinking back to how they had did Gene Snitsky, Ezekiel Jackson. That didn't go right, and for whatever reason, those guys, they didn't even, if I'm not mistaken, I think they only did like about maybe 2, 3 episodes. Then they mysteriously just disappeared. There was no follow up or whatever. So yeah, that tradition is like continuing now with the way that they were trying to build up Brodus, which by the way, his new name is Tyrus. Yes, his new name is Tyrus. We had saw EC3 rub it in Rockstar Spud's face, how he fired him, and how he has the services now of Tyrus. This would lead to EC3 putting a challenge out to anybody, in particular, wanting to get a little bit of retribution from Bully Ray for putting his Aunt Dixie through a wooden table, as he would boost about how he is still undefeated. This would prompt Devon to come out. Devon was looking to challenge EC3, as Devon told him, "Hey, look, you haven't faced me yet, so what's up? Let's do this." Looked like we were about to see that match go down when all of a sudden, Bram attacked Devon from behind. Cameras would catch up to Bram backstage to inquire why did he attack Devon. He told the camera people to mind their business. Devon would have to get help to the back by medical uh, EMTs or whatever, specialists, whatever. EC3 would claim himself to be undefeated. At this point, we would see Tyrus go into action. Probably one of the most hilarious segments of the night, as he would take on a TNA legend in Shark Boy, who conveniently was seen backstage just relaxing, eating a box of donuts. Yes, you can't make this stuff up. He was actually eating a box of donuts. He would reluctantly stop eating so he could make his way to the match. I thought that was just freaking hilarious. I'm not ready to talk about Tyrus just yet. I mean, it's great how they kind of brought him in, but as the weeks progress, the next 2 to 3 weeks in particular, I think it's very critical, because if we as viewers, if we're going to be given the impression to give a damn about this new acquisition by EC3, then there needs to be some really great storytelling involved by the commentators. Maybe some great little video packages. We need the works in really building up Tyrus, and really make us feel connected to the man. Or if it doesn't happen, this could be a scenario where it's just like with Gene Snitsky, it's just like with Ezekiel Jackson. It's just like, my God, we can be here all night naming other people that have gone through like this same type of, and it didn't really go anywhere. We saw the team of Mike Knox, Rebel, Crazy Steve defeat Angelina Love, Jesse G, and DJ Z. Rare victory for the Mike Knox stable. I wonder how much money they won off of this match, as they're having those financial problems back home with their business or whatever. If that's the storyline they're still going with. Looks like we covered everything as far as what had happened on Impact Wrestling tonight. Overall, though, like I said, I really had enjoyed this episode a lot. It was a great feel to it. Always great to see former people that we chatted it up with do good after they've left one company. And say what you will about Tyrese, Brodus Clay. I think we all could be in agreement. Those of us that watched his career in the WWE, it was a little bit premature how his release had came about. There was a lot that this man could have given to the roster. And, I always believe in the old saying, when one door opens, another one opens. And it seems like that's exactly the case that's going on with TNA Wrestling. And I think it's off to a good start for him right now. I just hope as the weeks progress, things will get even better for him. And with regards to looking into the future, as far as Bobby Lashley taking on Bobby Roode for the TNA Championship, I'm very curious to see how that match is going to be played about, whether it's going to be on a regular episode of Impact or it's going to be on a free pay per view themed event. I don't know anything about the spoilers, so please try to keep it spoiler free over here. Don't spoil it for everybody else. Just take the news as we get it. Brief TNA wrestling news that's been happening since last we were on the air. We definitely want to send our condolences to Samoa Joe and his family, as Samoa Joe had recently lost his father, and some heavy stuff right there. I definitely know what it's like to lose a loved one. So, Samoa Joe, we definitely send you and your family our thoughts and prayers with you. He also had addressed briefly the rumors that's been surrounding his TNA contract, as it's being speculated that his contract is set to expire within the next, I think, several weeks or in the next couple of months. Didn't really say too much about it, but the message that he had put out there, if you want to analyze it, you want to break it down, you want to spend 10, 15, 20 minutes on it, I mean, that's up to you. All right. But I'm not going to be dissecting it like that. But if you're curious, this is what he had to say with regards to his contract. He says, and direct quote, very reflective after this past show. At the risk of sounding unintentionally cryptic, I am hopeful for what the future holds. Enough said right there. Other than that, I think that's really pretty much been it. That's all that's been happening. Of course, I'm sure you guys are probably aware of what's been going on with Impact Wrestling as they continue to struggle in the UK. Things aren't looking pretty good for them on that front, which is kind of weird considering that in years prior, they were doing pretty good on the UK, in particular on the Challenge Network, as Impact Wrestling has been scoring major viewership roadblocks. Take this past week, for instance, Impact Wrestling had averaged, get this, 135,000 viewers. Impact ranked in fourth place, being beaten out by the viewer race by The Chase, Pointless, and reruns of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So it kind of seems like it's starting to catch up with what's going on in North America, where reruns of Cops are able to do a 1.2 or 1.3 rating, and meanwhile Impact continues to struggle with crazy stuff that's going on right here. Let's get to you guys' comments. I'm definitely a little bit curious what you all have to say with regards to tonight's episode. Remember, if you want to get a shout out or whatnot, you can post your comments to us. If you're watching on YouTube, post them down below or hit us up on Twitter at the RCWR Show, Facebook at Infinity One Productions. I always get comments on Twitter usually after we go off the air. Somebody was asking me a couple of weeks ago, could I make sure that I'm looking at the tweets on Twitter? And to that I say, we do. And usually there's no tweets that come in. Like right now, there's no tweets that's coming in. It makes my job easier. All right. Let's see what we got for comments here. I'm loading up your comments, so bear with me here. And while we're doing that, I want to give you guys a quick programming note or two. I feel pretty good. I won't say I'm 100%. We may do a weekend edition of the RCWR show. If we do, I will make the announcement sometime on Friday. So make sure you're following us on social media, as I'll be able to hook you guys up with the news. And boom. See what you guys are saying right now. Rory, sorry, my question this week isn't Impact related, but You just said it yourself. Your question is the impact related, so that means I can skip. Rockstar, wish the knockouts match was better, but it was decent. Hope to see Gale versus Havoc again soon. Adrian, the whole Shark Boy overeating stick has to be a rib on Shark Boy. Funny stuff, though. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Let's not go with the John Cena reference. I'm gonna skip that. I'm actually excited about Brodus Clay being in TNA, especially if they treat him as the force he can be. I will say this: his debut could have been milked a little bit more. I was expecting EC3 to get in the ring and introduce him or something, not just have him trail behind EC3. You, me both, man. Weston Havoc needs someone to teach her how to wrestle a little better. I have to disagree with you completely on that. Obviously, and I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I apologize in advance. But if you're familiar with her work in Shine, Shimmer, WSU, then you would know that she's definitely, on top of being a really good athlete, when she's paired up with the right person, she could deliver a really great freaking match. This just really boils down to how TNA is booking her. Honestly, I'm a little bit surprised that they didn't try to maybe pair her up with Santana or AKA Brittany, maybe have those two girls feud or whatnot for a little bit, or maybe try to bring in another girl from maybe Shine Shimmer WSU that worked with Havoc and really, really help you as that viewer be able to see what she's really capable of when she's matched up with somebody that can complement her very well, can definitely handle her for her height and her size. So, unfortunately, actually, no, not unfortunately, respectfully, I would have to disagree with you with regards to that comment on someone needs to teach her how to wrestle a little better because she can wrestle. It's just all about the booking. Something with this incarnation of Havoc just does not feel right. I can't put my finger on it, but when I've seen her in the other promotions, she's been on point. She's just been off. It's like she's half of what I've seen her in from her previous efforts in other promotions. And as far as the comments go, that's it. Rather short and brief. I love it like that. If you guys are saying some more good stuff, I probably won't be able to see it until we go off the air. But we did pretty good here. So once again, make sure you're following us on Twitter and on Facebook. If we're going to be doing a weekend edition, I will let you guys know sometime on Friday. And in the meantime, we got some really great stuff for you guys to check out on the downloads. So be kind, rewind. Real quickly, those of you that had entered our Chris Jericho book contest, as you all know, we didn't do a show on Monday night, but just in case you missed the message we put out on social media, we're actually going to be definitely for sure, whether I'm ready or not, there will be a show on Monday, October 20th at 11:15 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. You will have Titus Machiavelli for sure. Whether or not I will be here or it'll be a special guest remains to be seen. But we'll be announcing the winners of that Chris Jericho book contest on that episode. And in the meantime, the contest has actually extended until next Monday. So if you have not entered the contest yet to try to win a copy of Chris Jericho's new book, you can do so right now. We have a link with all the information that you'll need in this episode description. And folks, that is going to do it. We have episodes available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Blog Talk Radio. Take your picks. All the links you need is in this episode description. So check it out when you guys get a chance. Make sure you also give this a thumbs up. Share it a number of ways. You can Google Plus, you can Facebook, retweet, one of the many ways you can spread the good word about our content. If you experienced any type of lagging throughout this episode, we will have the podcast version of this be available in about 25 minutes. It'll be available on Spreaker and on iHeartRadio. All right. And that is going to do it until next go round. Please be safe and most importantly, be kind to one another. I'll see you guys next go round. Everybody, take care.